Hello everyone, Jacob here. Welcome to my channel and thank you for taking the time to stop by. In this video, I'm just going to share a little bit about why it's important to start small. So just give a background, I have a master's in business administration and a master's of science in finance. And this YouTube channel is to share everything about entrepreneurship, emerging markets, but also to bring to life basics of being an entrepreneur. So I share a lot about interviews people that have done across emerging economies, and also about a school I'm studying called the Pre-Entrepreneurship School. I've made 3 handbooks that the goal is to aid people who are thinking about entrepreneurship to learn about them first before they actually invest time and money in building a business. And in addition to that, I share some background about how you can build, start a podcast, or and other interesting stuff that can help you become more entrepreneurial. So hopefully, the content I'm sharing here is very helpful to you watching, and feel free to reach out if you are curious about anything in particular. So I'm going to share a little bit more about why it's important to start small, to start a business in a small scale. So if you can bear with me, I'm going to share my screen here, and I know the slides. So it's going to be pretty brief, and I'm just going to go briefly through it. So I give 5 reasons in this video of why starting small is beautiful. So I know a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, their goal is always to they aspire to be the next Amazon, the next Facebook, the next Elon Musk. But if you think about it, they started very small. Zuckerberg started, just within schools, back in 2004, 2003, 2004, 2005, and it wasn't Facebook as we know of today, as large as it is with billions of users that log in daily. But you know, um, when you start small, you actually are able to benefit a lot, and you're able to streamline um, the product in such a way that you're able to iterate and incorporate feedback, but also understand what's your core business, right? So I think it's really critical for every aspiring entrepreneur there to have a big vision, but always start small, because at the core, you're always dealing with people, right? And people is something that you always have to make sure that you pay attention to them, you understand them, and you're willing to provide the same amount of value, much more value to your customers to the best of your ability. And that requires that you always have to think about starting things at a very small scale. So just a background again about myself. I've been lucky enough to travel across several, to be in several countries, and uh, had the opportunity to meet entrepreneurs from countries like Vietnam, South Korea, Taiwan, uh, Thailand, Peru, Uganda, and through that I've been able to gouge and um, uh, just have some very personal conversations with some of these entrepreneurs, and also learn about what they're really passionate about. So, and also help them with some of their business models, but also how to think about how can they build a sustainable business. And through that, I have been, uh, you know, I've gotten certain trends, right, which has led me to build some of these principles, like the 20 principles for the pre-entrepreneurship handbooks, and the workbooks that I have as well, but also come up with some of these ideas of what it means to build a startup. And hopefully this is something that I can convey to you, and something that can inspire you to actually think of what are the best ways that you can be building your business or your startup in the future, right? And through that, also, I've been lucky enough to been exposed to different entrepreneurship theories. One of the most popular ones is the Babson Entrepreneurial Thought and Action, which I studied in my 2 years, my MBA program at Babson, as well as my 1 year as a Master's of Science in Finance candidate at Boston College. And through that, so I've been, I've gotten to interact with other people that exposed me to theories like the Startup Science 2017 by Masa Tadao Koro, which is a Japanese theory, economics of mutuality and more. So all of this has led me to hopefully have the exposure I think is critical to be able to share some of my thoughts on how entrepreneurship can be done properly. And also I've tried, it's not just based on theories, but I've also tried to start a bunch of companies. Some are still in the process of getting to the maturity phase, and some are still in a very nascent stage. But just learning by doing has been something that I've incorporated with time, and something that I think that's the best teacher, right? To try and fail. So through that, I think there's something that I hope to incorporate in some of the videos that I'm talking about, and hopefully it translates into something that compels you to know that it's coming from a place of authenticity and also coming from also personal experience. So the 5 reasons here is, you have to learn sales. I think this is something that it's not really taught in business schools, and it's not really taught in most entrepreneurship programs. But sales is very critical, because if you don't know how to sell whatever you're trying to build, it's really hard to communicate or convey that to customers or potential employees of your business, because the vision is key. The mission is really important, but if you're not able to translate that to people, for people to really get that this is something they're really passionate about, something that you do want to make a change, something that you'll be resilient and you'll be committed to it for the long term, it's really hard for people to really buy into it. And the reality is that if people don't buy into the vision, it will never come into fruition, right? So it's important that try your best as possible to be able to have that um, that skill, and it comes with time and it comes with experience, and you have to transfer. But you really have to develop that skill over time in order to be in a position to make the case of why whatever you're doing is important. The why factor is really critical. So it takes time and it takes effort to learn this, but it's more than important. And it's connected to this topic, but no, it's kind of going hand in hand. It's connected to this topic because once you start small, you really understand what it is that you need to sell for people to get connected. It also gives you that room to really figure out what is at your core that is connected to that business. And through that business, you're able to convert it to customers, to potential customers. If you do it at a very large scale, it's really hard to navigate that, because you have multiple feedbacks, and it's really hard to translate that and kind of bring it back to your core, or to the core of your product, of the significance of what you're trying to sell. So learning sales is very critical, and it actually builds uh, um, the communication channel of your business, right? And it's very critical, because in one way or the other, your brand, the colors of your website and all that sends a message, right? And the way you talk, how confidently you talk, all that helps build some sales pitch that sometimes you might not know you're doing, right? So this is really critical, and it comes with all. You have to practice this. You have to practice them. I'm still practicing it, but it's very important that you learn how to manifest that. And starting small is really helpful. The second principle is you get feedback and you can feed forward. So feed forward is feedback just basically means, once you have the prototype, which is just a smaller scale version of whatever your product will actually be, you give it to a potential customer and they tell you what they think how the product needs to get better and all that. Once you start small, you actually get you're able to focus on specific feedback, and you're able to iterate much more faster. Uh, depending on the scale of how that prototype is, but it's easier to get feedback, right? Because the customers are controlled, hopefully they're diverse, and they can, hit every target of what you're trying to build. And most importantly, you can feed forward, right? You can actually say, okay, what is something that I learned now through what the feedback, through what I've been told, that I can actually spring forward, right? I can actually iterate and build a product that addresses how I should be thinking about developing it in the future, right? So I think that's a very critical step to convey around the sense of why starting small is very important, it's very critical as you think about building your business for the long term. And that starting small is a very good recipe of why having this principle is critical for aspiring entrepreneurs to know that there's so much value in doing things at a very small scale. And the last thing, the third principle is you need to understand the real problem, right? When you start small, the real problem is more visible, and because you are able to really boil down to what is that thing that I have to really work on to make sure that customers or your potential customers become your actual customers, paying customers, right? And if you do it too large, it makes it difficult to really navigate. As I earlier mentioned, it makes it really difficult to really pinpoint what is that key thing that is important for me to focus on and build on in the long term, so that I become that entrepreneur that actually addresses the specific problem that people need to solve. And it also helps to iterate, right? Going back to it. So when you start small, iteration is easier. If you do things big, it's just really hard for you to go back and refine the product, right? I mean, depending on the type of product, some products might be like a very highly technical engineering product that might require time in the lab and all that. But just to be generalistic here, and I know sometimes it might be a case by case situation, but I think as a whole, it's easier to reiterate your product, and it's easier to just go back and fix something, especially if it's a website, right? If this is like a um, something on the web, like it'll be easier to do that. And I'll give an example. So I did a mask business a while ago, and I had this website on back in 2020, where the pandemic hit the United States in March and April. So I started a mask business, and the first website was just horrible. No, but I know the first people that came to the website were family and friends, and some of the friends told me, one of the friends told me, like, hey, this website, you need to do this and that and that. And because I haven't really exposed the website a lot to a lot of people, hopefully that didn't give a bad rep, but just having that single feedback helped me just go back and kind of fix that thing really quickly based on that specific feedback. And because I had a small pool of people that knew about it, it was easy to go, one, it was very easy as a product to fix it, because I started a very small scale. I didn't put a lot of features on the website. I put in just how to buy it, how to buy the mask, and the different types of masks. So it was just easy to just go back in there. You'll be using web, weeks, and I could just go back at the back end and just really iterate it quickly. So stuff like that just makes it a lot easier. It makes it much more. It makes it easier for you, and it also just makes starting small beautiful, right? And the last thing is, you understand your opportunity cost better. So opportunity cost just means the alternative, of not doing a startup, the alternative of not doing what you're doing at the moment, right? So right now I'm making a YouTube video. The alternative might be, eating some healthy food or exercising, or probably working on a job full time. That the gain I could have been doing in that thing is the opportunity cost of what I'm doing now, right? It's a benefit when I'm not doing that, when I'm doing that specific exercise, but I'm losing that because I'm doing this right now. So that's the opportunity cost of doing this. I'm losing the benefit that I could have been gaining from a different activity that could be an investment time, right? But when you start small, you're able to value. You can, in some numerical context, be able to understand what is the actual of hopefully a numerical value of what you are potentially losing, and that can help you gauge whether it's the right time to focus on this, or this is the right time to kind of build on this idea or this product you're trying to build. So it helps you just be leaner, it helps you to be more strategic, and it helps you to be more specific in in how you're building your ambition. So I think hopefully this helps you understand why it's beautiful to start small. It's a very critical piece. So I also have a worksheet here that I will share in the future, and people that are interested to be part of the pre-entrepreneurship school, which will be launching next month. We'll work on this together, and not the first cohort, but in subsequent potential in the summer, work on this worksheet together and help the people that sign up for the program walk through this worksheet so you're able to really understand how to think small. So if you want to reach out, you can just get to me at jacobfortum.net on my website, be able to contact me there. And I'm doing a free 30 minutes consultation as well to help anybody who wants to start small, because starting small, as cliche as it sounds, is beautiful. So thanks for stopping by on this channel, and hopefully I get to see you guys soon in the next video. Please make sure you subscribe, always leave a comment, always reach out to me, and I'll be happy to always answer any questions. So see you guys soon. Take care.